Good morning, man. I'm like, is it going? Is it going? Yeah. Let me get a sound check here real quick and see how we're doing. It's always best to. Good morning. There it is. Let me bring this back up, and I was just making a cup of coffee. I got behind this morning because, well, you know why, Doug. Doug has things he wants to do when he wants to do them. And this morning he kind of knows. It's funny. Doug knows when I'm going to do something, and he wants to change that. He does. He wants to change that. And I was getting ready to do this. I was making my coffee, and then I was doing stuff for me, and he was chewing on a chewy toy. Then he decided to swallow that, then throw it up in the middle of the living room and proceed to eat it again. And I couldn't have that. But that's the life. That's a dog's life. So I kicked him out of the house. Now he's unhappy about that. And, well, forgive us for our sins. So it's Sunday morning, and it started off a little hairy for me. I slept in this morning. I stayed up playing the games. And, yes, man, go your own way, man. Go your own way. You're all forgiven this morning for all your sins of the past. Go your own way and be a better Mgtow. And that's what we're doing. Sunday church here. Sunday church. I was going to talk about something can arise from nothing. I often hear the analogy, or whatever you want to call it, by people that don't understand Mgtow, that Mgtow is just about a bunch of boys being all boo-hooish, and it arose from nothing. There was nothing out there that there was nothing that made Mgtow or forced Mgtow into existence. And that's a ridiculous idea. We all read philosophy, and we all read Descartes. I read Descartes, and Descartes is taught in most schools, Berkeley, and other schools and everything. And the ideas among Mgtow, it's important ideas in Mgtow philosophy, and they serve to unify Mgtow in this like ontology and epistemology. I can't pronounce that this morning because I didn't have my coffee, and Doug made me unhappy this morning. But ideas don't arise from nothing. There's ideas, and there's modes of thinking, and ideas and formal objective reality, and distinction between reality and non-reality. And one of the things I see around is blue pill men. They live in this, and when they want to argue, that in itself is an idea. When you're coming to Mgtow and you want to talk about Mgtow, and just say Mgtow is a bunch of sissy boys, and we're all boo-hooish and boo-hoo, and we have problems, and they bring these formal ideas with them that we were just hurt by something, and this disregards us, and this disregards us as human beings and thinking human beings, and it disregards the thought that what if I just want to be left alone? What if I'm a person that enjoys solitude? What if I don't want the whole world instructing my life? Imagine that, someone coming over, and it's like it's just like, why don't you just do this for me? And that's what they're saying. They just come over your house and they go, why don't you just do this girl thing? Or why don't you do this feminism thing? Why don't you just do that, and you'll be okay with it, and I'll be more happy about that, and that's why you exist, to make me happy. The idea, the modes of thinking that's innate to that. Descartes says there's three kinds of modes of thinking. There's innate thinking, there's adventurous thinking, and there's fallacious thinking, or fictitious thinking. Fallacious and fictitious, I think them are synonyms, but I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm just stuttering in my speech this morning because I haven't had my cup of coffee because of Doug. He's out in the rain now. I was going to give him a few minutes out in the rain and chill his ass out from throwing up the squeaky toy in the middle of my living room floor this morning. And but there's certain modes of thinking when these guys coming in. I say modes of thinking because because it always seems to take a mode. There's always seems to be this primary or secondary source of thinking where you're looking at these guys and are talking about in the same mode as modus preposendi or modus it's just a mode that they're coming in. It always takes the same shape and it always takes the same form, and the ideas that they come at us with always seem to be immature, really fictitious thinking. It doesn't seem to make sense to us, and we look at them, and sometimes we do the dog look at them. We go, like, what are you talking about? It's like, and you cock your head sideways, and I can see you guys doing this when you're watching some of the videos about Mgtow. You go, this guy has no clue what they're talking about, and it becomes a problem in Mgtow. It becomes a problem with me, and you have to hear it over and over and over and over again. And let me see who's in. I just brought the page back up. Hello, PJP. Hello, Silent Sag. Hello, Death the Kid. Kids 24 Gaming. Death the Kid. I can't get that G in there, but that's okay. Hello, Chewy, and hello, Mgtow Warrior. Hello, Joe Buddy. I'll tell you, we're talking about modes of thinking. We're talking about something can arise from anything. We'll probably take a little Descartes view on that and ask ourselves why something can arise from nothing. And Mgtow didn't just pop up out of there was a seed, and what was that vicious seed? What was that vicious act of betrayal that made Mgtow? Well, it was an act of betrayal. Men got sick of unfair divorce laws, and men got sick of being treated like I was talking about, like slaves. And I think that's the biggest part of Mgtow. Most people say it's about the divorce. It's about how we get treated in relationships. It's about, all those things, about sexual things, because people's brains can't get out of the sex. That's why I always bring the asexuality aspect to Monk. And by the way, if you're new and fresh here, coming in, go your own way, and all your sins are forgiven from the past. You're Mgtow now. Everything's okay. Be cool and move forward in life. But that's why I always do the asexuality thing when in a conversation and everything. On the internet, they always want to bring it back to the sex. They always want to bring it back to what you can do with that split fee. Well, they always want to bring it back to that because that's the most easy conversation there is. The other conversations that we have to have about Mgtow is the slavery aspect, the acquiescing. I think that's one of the original words we used back in the day. In Mgtow is I'm done acquiescing to the world. And you know what an acquiesce is? It's a curtsy. It's when you bow down. You bow down and you say, I'll do whatever you want. It gives you a way, and you become that. And we have to acquiesce to this world that really hates us, that wants things from us. And that's the hardest part and of being a man. And it's the most I think it's the most dysfunctional part of masculinity today in this world is you have to acquiesce to the world. So you have to, you're always, I mean, all of you guys had them horrible incidences where you're with somebody and she's gonna cook or something. Okay, she's gonna cook dinner and she makes pork chops, and they're just the most horrible things in the whole world, and you eat them, and you have to acquiesce to some kind of better attitude about that. And you're like, baby, these are good. You're like a robot. You're like, and they're the worst things in the whole world. And you're just saying it so it doesn't cause an argument in the group of people that you're with. you can't be truthful in that situation and say you should never cook again in your life. You suck at it. Would be the would be the honest thing to say to most people. And but you have to acquiesce to a better way of living in this thing, this group that we live in. I like that thing. This thing was a kicking guard. Kicking guard often said thing. He referred to it as thing when he didn't have a better description for it, or he felt boxed in by another word. We get boxed in. Can you hear him? Come on, Doug, say it. He's getting really mad now. I was gonna run out and get him here in a few minutes, but I'm just letting him brew out there and think about his actions this morning. And he's gonna his bark is so funny. He's outside and he'll start with this little bark where he's like, come on, let me in. And then it kind of intensifies. And he's in the rain, so it's intensifying. His anger at me is intensifying. And he's like, Joe, bitch, let me in. And now he's almost to the point where he's going to start crying and do the whiny bark. And that's the whiny, irritating bark. Like he's like, arr, arr. And that's the one where I let him in and stop punishing him for his bad deeds this morning. But yeah, we get all these guys. Yeah, Doug, bitch, how's it going? He can hear me. He's right outside the window. And yeah, I'm punishing him. I'm having a latte. I made a frothy latte. It's a Sumatran. Coffee is in season right now, and we know that Sumatran's one of the best coffees you can get. So I roasted some of this stuff up, a pound of it, about a week ago, and that's what I'm drinking. Sumatran. It's in season. Highly. It's really nice coffee. It's probably one of the best coffees you can buy. But I got froth going all over my beard. Oh, that's really good. Really, really good. And everybody knows I roast my own coffee and take care in those things. So I hope everything's hello, speciation. Hello, Mgtow teacher, my friend Mgtow teacher. How are you today? Listening during breakfast today. Yeah, thanks for listening, MT. MT3's back, and it's good to see. I was worried. I was questioning the other day. I was like, where is Mgtow teacher been? Hello, Joey. Hello, Silence Ag. That's the Kings, Chewy, and everybody that's in today. And we're just talking about something can arise from nothing, and a silly idea that that Mgtow popped up out of the ether from nothing. It was just a single thought that came out, and it's like, and it was like from the devil or something. And I think they may believe that too. In all reality, Christians may believe that. Mgtow is just waking from the devil, and it's just the devil's thoughts, and that's just lunacy. But hey, that's the backdrop to their thinking. That gives them justification to question our lives. And it's not just the thinking, the modes of thinking that we do. It gives them justification to question our decisions on not doing certain things in our lives, why we run our lives the way we do, why we're in protect mode, and why we're in, hey, walk away, man, just walk away, man, go away, go your own way. Why we're in that mode, they think it came from nothing. And that just screws me up sometimes when they do that sort of thinking. But it didn't arise from nothing. There was a lot of things. There was a whole bunch of things. Like I said, there was the slavery aspect. There was the acquiescing. Men had to acquiesce to all women's needs and wishes, and then the government's needs and wishes, and the state needs and wishes, and all the other people. And we'll just call them all the others. All those others, we had to acquiesce to their needs, and you become a slave in this thing. It's just work hard, work yourself to death, get yourself a bad back, and then the government will tell you, well, you don't have a bad back, you're just a lazy son of a bitch. With so many guys that I see in my life that that have ran out of that. I call them there's only so many cases in a man's back. If you work at a warehouse, you know this. If you work at a pop company, you know this. If you work at an oil can filling company like I did, you know this. There's only so many cans in a man's back. You can only lift so many cases, and then your back goes bad. But try going down to your workman's comp and explaining that they'll make you jump through hoops that will take the rest of your life, and still you'll never get you'll never get them to express sentiments or an apology for killing you in that way. But that's what men go through, and so often in media and news and everything, you hear, oh, these lazy son of a bitches, he's just got a back problem, he should just man up. And it's the same old man up thing. You were working for the society because you're acquiescing to its wishes, and they're treating you like hell, and that's part of being a man nowadays. And somehow that's one of the good parts of being a man. No, that's not a good part of being a man. That sucks. It really sucks. So in this thing, I think we think about the nature of the mind and stuff. We think about things that how does a man think? How does a person think? What's the ontology of the male mind? The finite, the substance of what he is, and them sort of things. Doug, no, Doug's being cool. He's hanging out a little longer today than I thought he would. I thought he'd be bitching right now and crying and begging his way back in the house, but he's being cool. Yes, ideas that come from these people's minds, their mind, how they think, how they manifest these ideas, you know, the attributes in which they bring to these ideas, and the ridiculousness sometimes of why men should do these things, why men should volunteer for their own slavery. You know, there's why there's sort of this ontological ladder that and I think Plato gave the idea of the ontological ladder, which you have to climb in this world. And you start off as a young man, and we get tortured as young kids and young boys in school, and you know, you're not allowed to go out and play sports. You have to sit in a chair, which is just torture to a boy. For girls, that's okay. Girls can't excel in preschools and stuff like that, while the boys, while they're safe and comfortable in a chair, a boy of 8, 9, 10 years old, 12, 11, 13 years old is that's torture, sitting in a chair. And the teachers wonder, and this is pow, it just explodes. My head just explodes when they ask, why can't these boys control themselves? We'll put them on drugs and put them back in that chair. Oh, that was a good idea. Yeah, that was a very good idea from our teaching, and our doctors will just have this subtle manipulation of the boy's character, and they're not allowed to go outside. You can learn math from basketball. You can learn math from baseball. You can learn math and you know, mileage and hiking and stuff like that. You don't need to, but the female teachers, they're not willing to do that with boys. That's why boys need male teachers. Yes, that's why boys need male teachers, so they can do these things for them. But Plato's view of the ontology, I am really having ontological speech problems this morning. Dougie made me all upset. The ontological ladder, that was the idea, the ladder of thoughts that they build on top of this one destructive thought that starts the whole concave of bad ideas and blue pillars lies. I think there's a lot that goes along with that, and it's hard to identify, and it's hard to think about, and it's hard to do sometimes. Descartes, he gives these responses, like they're vehicles of representation to our ideas and everything. And and this something can arise from nothing. The same thing they do to us. Mgtow arise from nothing. And what they're saying is, just go back to your nothingness as men. Just go back to your nothingness as men, and you'll be better off that way. Now we can we could tear this whole thing down in a very like a Marcusy sort of way, but I'm not willing to go into that this morning. I'm still fresh. These morons should stay away from a children's festival. Yes, they should. So how is everybody doing this morning? Did your weekend go? There's no Browns game today, so I don't have to watch football. Or, well, I probably will watch the games later. And hello, Whiskey. I probably will watch a game later or so, and just sit around and enjoy a cup of coffee and enjoy Dougie's presence if he doesn't throw up in the middle of my floor again this morning. That's really delicious. In-season coffee is so much better. I would suggest learn the seasons of coffee. Is this thing right today? Learn the seasons of coffee and always buy it fresh and always get what's in season. And Sumatran was in season, and I bought that. That was really good, and I'm glad I did. This morning, roasting my own coffee and doing those things. But yeah, something can arise from nothing. And they do this a lot to us in life. They do this with several modes. Like I said, there was the acquiescing mode, and then we got the slavery mode. And I think it went into, you just do this, and you just make this your lifestyle, Mgtow. And it always seems like really, really weird to me that these people that come around and they're instructing you on your life and how you should do your life, and that just seems like the weirdest thing in the whole world to me. It's like they're gonna just come to my house, these little Nazis. They'll have little Nazi beards, and they're just gonna, sign this paper, and you're gonna do this, and that's what it's gonna be like. And I'll be like, no, but I'm a Mgtow. I do things my way. No, you gotta, you can't make your own beer because that takes money out of our pockets. You can't roast your own coffee because that takes money out of the exports pockets. You can't do those things. And they're doing that in Canada. I heard someone in Canada tell me in some counties now you can't have a garden. You can't grow your own garden because they want you to use the resources of the fresh vegetables at the grocery store. No. Use those resources because they grow them for you. And you're doing them a disservice, not buying them at an inflated price by growing them in your backyard. That's bad Canadians. But they do that. They do that in Ohio in a sneaky way. They do. They regulate the seeds in Ohio. You can't buy seeds. I noticed that a few years ago where I ordered some seeds and they didn't show up, and I ordered some more seeds and they didn't show up, and then I ordered some more seeds and they didn't show up. And you have to go by and buy either the plant or you have to buy the vegetable from the store here. And they're doing these little things, and they do that with a lot of little things in business in Ohio. I'm a brewer. I brew beers. So one of the things that's very hard to get around here, and it's very expensive, is malt and malt grains and stuff like that. They make it almost as expensive as they automatically take the liberty of making it as expensive as you would go to the store and buy beer. So you might as well go to the store and buy beer and then give them $1.35 for every 6-pack. And the whole thing we would do this for is so we can save a little money. We can have it our way. And but the state doesn't want that. The state wants that in everything. It's not just marriage. They want you to get married. They want you to do this. They want you to buy their products. They want you to get a divorce. They want you to employ a lawyer. They want you to, and they want you to do that 3 times before you die of misery in your life at the age of probably 52. And then at the end, you're nothing. You mean nothing to this world. That's why I just want to, just float away one of these days down the Mississippi into the bayou and disappear. Because I know at the end, we hear this new term, they're going to disappear you. At the end, they're going to disappear everything about you. You're going to leave no impact. It'll all become theirs again. And it'll all become the states. And them are some of the things we don't think about here in Mgtow. And I don't want to volunteer for that sad existence. So good morning, coffee with Joe, and some philosophical talk this morning. And go your own way, Mgtow. Go your own way. I do have my Mgtow cross here. I fixed it. I did fix it, but I hung it. I should do this on Sunday. Yeah, there we go. I had to fix it. It cracked, and it's cheap plastic. It's not gold. I couldn't afford a gold one. I wish I could afford a gold one. So go your own way. And I have to do it opposite. I have to remember to do this opposite and wear it opposite, because when it comes through on the, it's a reverse thing on when you see it the right way, which is the wrong way. It's this way. So go your own way, man. All your sins are forgiven and Mgtow, and you can start a new life afresh with new invigorating ideas like freedom and safety and not going to jail for back child support and ideas like that. Wow, that's what every human condition should reflect them thoughts. But in Mgtow, somehow we're wrong about wanting to reflect those kind of thoughts to the world. Say, I want to be like single, and I don't want to have like to bring a woman in my house because her cooking sucks anyways. And you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that. Damn. And then you have to start acquiescing to all of her needs and wishes in life. And she changes your towels and your soap and your sheets, and your dog becomes hers. Yeah, your dog becomes hers. I was just watching a video the other day with a dog. They're fighting over the dog. I think it was on my a friend of mine's podcast. She wanted to take the dog. It was like, that dog's mine. He was like, no, that dog's mine. And everybody knows the dog's the male's dogs in any kind of situation. You can have the cat, and you could take all your stuff and your makeup, but the dog's mine. And wanting the dog in a divorce, we hear this a lot. Women want the dog in a divorce because they're just going to abuse the dog, and they're not going to take it running. They're not going to take it out. They're going to overfeed it, and then it's going to die of a heart attack at 6 years old. I got to make sure. I had an ant problem this morning too. Around this time of the year, I wanted to make sure there wasn't an ant in my coffee. There we go. I had an ant problem this morning. It's more about Dougie's food. Again, he spills his food on the ground, and then we get 1,000 ants. I usually use those little ant traps. They're about that big. They're little squares. And those things used to work so good. You put in one of those ant traps, you squeeze it and bust the poison or whatever's in there, and you put it down. Trav, do you like solar ovens? I wish you have to buy a solar mirror. You have to buy one of those mirrors to make a solar oven. Is that the kind we're talking about? Where you buy the what do you call that? The certain kind of mirror, and then you can make a solar oven out of it. Uh, but those mirrors, I looked into them. They sell really nice ones now. They're plastic and they're really thin, and you could buy that kind to do it. But the intense heat is it's an interesting idea and saving. We were looking at solar lights the other day. Um, Harbor Freight had solar lights on sale, and they had short little. You put the thing outside on one angle, and then it's got a little battery, and then the light. The lights don't take that much. But I was wondering, how can I switch? I need to switch this stuff, and I need to start running switches, and that means I mean to start taking out the old lighting in my house. The the wattage from the old lighting out of your house, and then put in these new, and that's a big problem. So solar stuff becomes a big task in your house. But I was looking at those, and I think I'm going to do it. They were like $35 a pack, and it would give me one very bright light for one room, and then there are those array of little bulbs that they have now, and so I was going to try that, but I've never tried the solar ovens. I think Barbarossa did a video on the solar oven. He was interested in how that worked. They can actually they make actual solar. Yeah, the solar oven is an idea with a. It's like taking your glasses, and you know how you can use your glasses to burn an ant or a magnifying glass. You take you burn ant. Well, yeah, boys do this. So you take your magnifying glass, and you can start a fire with your magnifying glass. The solar oven works the same way. I think that's what we're talking about. Hello, Gravy Back Gill. Yeah, so it's a good idea, but here in Ohio we don't have sun from now to March, so solar ovens that's not going to work for us. Maybe in the desert right now you can still do that. You can roast a turkey. I think there are videos out there where people roasted turkeys with solar ovens. But no, I know I haven't tried that yet. I have tried solar. My backlight is solar, and I'm going to switch all my lights over to solar energy sooner or later here. But it's time consuming, costing the switching it and stuff like that. I'm talking about the actual switch and controlling the electricity, so you can use it other places in the house if you want. It becomes a problem because you have to rewire your house. Really, that's what in a house rewire usually costs about $3,000. You would pay me $3,000 to come in for a house rewire if you wanted to do that. Not that I'm rewiring the whole house or rewadding the house, but yeah, it becomes quite a problem. But maybe they'll come up with some easy ways to wire. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they do it. Republicans are highly against anything that doesn't use fossil fuel. So in Ohio, we don't really get a lot of those products, solar products. It's illegal here to put a wind turbine on your house. It is. It's illegal. They say that's going to bother your neighbors. I was like, and it's going to bother my neighbors, huh? Yeah, it's going to bother you. You're my neighbor, and you don't want me using it because you don't want you want us to be stuck on the gas, buying gas from East Ohio Gas. You could actually heat your house too with a wind turbine around here, but we're not allowed to put them up. What's up, Al Capone? Hey, for anybody that's new coming in, go your own way, and all your sins are forgiven. Be fresh, be new in Mgtow. And we were talking about something can arise from nothing, and today we get these guys in here, and there's always this presupposition that we're just being just less than manly about our Mgtow. and you guys are just whining over nothing. There's no reason. So we started covering these slavery aspects and the acquiescing aspects. No man likes to acquiesce. No man likes to bow down for his slave master, and which is gynocentrism, and anybody that pushes gynocentrism in the state, um, and say yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll do what you want. And no, Mgtow's not about that. We're about sovereignty, and not to be mistaken. I think there's a few people now that mistake Mgtow type of sovereignty with the new sovereigns. The new sovereigns are those people that don't want to have to buy driver's license or stuff like that. They don't want to abide by the rules, and I don't like the rules either. I think the rules of the road are just road taxes. Those sheriff of Nottingham road taxes, so they can employ themselves, so they can take money from you, giving you a $240 ticket, and give it to themselves. And I think that's the worst thing in the whole world. And I think I think a lot of the speed limits are arbitrarily done, and they're arbitrary, and they don't make a lot of sense. So I think in a way the sovereigns are right, and somebody has to say it sooner or later that there's counties and and I know DWI is a horrible thing, and I know that that stuff. But there's counties out like my county that make their living on road taxes, and we give out more DWIs and tickets in this county than they give out in Franklin County. That's like 10, 15 times, 20, 30, almost 100 times the size of this small county. And that's what I think it's bad. And it's just, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have barely 200,000 people in this county, and we have 5 huge city buildings when we need one little small police department. That's all we need. And these people are employing themselves through what? How do they make their revenues? How do their revenue streams come in? So the sovereigns, and Mgtow's sort of in this group where we're saying, no, we don't like that either. We don't like, because that forces the male to acquiesce to more rules. We have to acquiesce to really simple rules. Some of the most ridiculous rules are speed limit that arbitrarily says an illogical statement. If you go over 25 miles an hour in this area, you might kill someone. The ifs, the mights about this. I go up to my street. I've done this experiment where I go up my street every morning 35 miles an hour for almost 10 years in a row. Never got a ticket, never killed anybody. So it's an illogical statement. And I thought, well, that's an illogical statement to say, to be able to give. Now you'll notice around here on Friday nights, where all the creepy blue pill people are out mating and trying to mate and doing the mating thing. Right around 12 o'clock, there's a couple sheriffs that sit around here, and they give DWIs and tickets to people coming back home. That's where it sucks. It's like, oh man, I almost got home. Yeah, you almost made it. you almost made it home. The sheriff was like there, and that's one of the things. They'll just sit behind the stop signs, and they'll wait for people to go speeding down the street trying to get home. I discovered Mgtow by accident by watching Nomadic Fanatic, a guy going cross country in his RV. Oh, did you? Is that how you seen Nomadic Fanatic? That was yeah, he kind of went butt crazy in these last couple of months, but yeah, Nomadic Fanatic. I think that's all Mgtow's dreams, to get in a camper and just kind of go and disappear and go golf, and nobody bothers him no more. But campers are expensive. They are. I looked at them. I was looking at them lately because I'd like to go do that in my old age. And go do that camping adventure. Go just drive to place to place and just live, and no one bothers you. But he had a girlfriend there for a while, didn't he? He had a girlfriend that come on, and then he had a bad experience with that girl, Capone. There was a horrible breakup, and they were arguing about camping things. They're arguing about nomadic things. Hello, God, I can't remember your name. I know you changed your name. We smell corruption. Your real name is it was a flyby. So hello everybody that's came in. It's Sunday morning church with Traversable, and we were talking about Descartes' theories of ideas. Something can't arise from nothing. That's where the idea comes from. But we're doing the Mgtow thing, and go your own way, Mgtows. If you haven't been blessed this morning, go your own way, and all your sins are forgiven. It's just that easy. Become a Mgtow, and you go upon a new life and a new. It's like a new morning afresh. But yeah, Mgtow is like that. You get a second chance at doing it right. I often wondered that when I was in that blue pill crowd. Do I? It's one of the thoughts were, do I get a second chance on doing this right without a lot of pain coming? And then the pain did come. There was a lot of pain, and then I got a second chance on doing it right, but they took everything from me. It would have been really cool if I would have got to keep some of my shit and some of my money. And I mean, the lawyers and the state and the wife and they took the house, they took my cars, they took my campers, they took everything. They took all my tools, which really hurt. They took my musical equipment. Yeah. If I would have got to keep a little bit of that shit, it wouldn't have hurt so much. But yeah, they leave you vacant. Yeah. I can't remember when that was, Al. When he had taken. Well, she started following him around in a camper, and there was this kid. He did almost a year on that, and then they had this breakup or something. And I think that's what made him Mgtow when he started doing Mgtow. But I'm been around here forever, so I can't remember all the videos I watch. Yeah, there was a reason why he was made Mgtow, and it's pretty much a lot of the reasons why we all become Mgtow. The pain and suffering from life makes us Mgtows, and that's the topic today. It didn't arise from nothing. We all share our stories in here. Most Mgtows share our stories, and we at some point we say, well, this is the reason why. And, it was either some painful event from the state divorce system or a false accusation or just an everyday grind. And that's the one I always refer to, the everyday grind of having to acquiesce into a woman, having to bring it into your house, to take care of it, to pamper it, and to celebrate it, and to because you have to start doing those things. If you don't, you know what's going to happen if you don't celebrate all of her goodness, and you don't take you don't take special days off and go, look, it's you. Yeah. If you don't do that, you're a dick, and the state will punish you for that. If you don't make her happy, the state will punish you for that. And the religious people will punish you for that, and your family will punish you for that because you didn't make a woman happy. And that's the biggest crime in America. This reverse Sharia thing that we have. We do reverse Sharia is just Christianity, where we torture the men instead of torturing the women. And so if reverse Sharia is real, what is the male burqa? Is the male burqa the work hat? Is the the work clothing? You're going to go to work. You're going to work yourself to death, and you're going to enjoy that. And you get company of other men working themselves to death, building all these things, these pyramids. But you get to do that for the love of another human. That's what you're doing that for. Yeah, hard hat. A hard hat is the American burqa. is the hard hat. I like that. Al Capone. Yeah. The American burqa is the construction hard hat. Hey, Capone, does that make you crazy when you see those signs on the construction site? Men and women working. Or women working, and they have the sign, and it's like women working, and it's like, yeah, really like to see that. Not sure about that, Trev. Already I've seen that. uh, they're gonna see it. They got to make them gender friendly. The men working signs, they're gonna make the men working signs and the people working and make them gender friendly. Uh, yeah, yeah. So that's just part of you'll have to acquiesce to that too. You're not allowed to say it like you know. You won't be able to say that. Last time I looked at who had to move the steel, it was the guys. And then who was carting those 2x4s up? Who brings the shingles up onto the roof? It was a dude. Yeah, it was a dude. No doubt about it. Oh, wow. So this is Sunday morning Mgtow with Trav, and we're talking about Mgtow didn't arise from nothing. So we talked about the slavery aspect of it. We talked about the acquiescing aspect of being a male, and this time the voluntary slavery. You have to volunteer for it too, or else you're perceived as a lesser man. If you don't volunteer for it, then we get into those sticky, hairy things where you impregnated my daughter, you have to marry her, and that used to be prevalent in. You impregnated her, you have to marry her. It's somehow all your fault. It wasn't that the female, and this is one of my biggest bitches about the biological world. Nobody says it right, and it's like Disney biologically. The scientist, it's like Disneyland out there, where they know the truth about this thing, and the male has very little to do with the pregnancy process. It's 100% her body, 100% her baby, 100% her responsibility and accountability. All you did was donated a sequence to that. You're just a sperm donor that donated a sequence, because that original sperm dies away and then the embryo splits and then it becomes the what they call the sister embryos. And that's 100% her. But they copied your sequencing. And then 86% of up to 86, they say 86% of the child is from the RNA, DNA of the male. So it's a big lie. And if you look at it just from the Disney point of view, they'll go, "Ooh, we had a baby." No, we didn't have a baby. I can't have a baby. I'm biologically impaired. I'm a male. I can't have babies. I can donate a sequence to that genetic system. But short of that, it's 100%. And if we want to talk about responsibility and accountability, I'll even go as far as taking 1% of that, because that's about how much you had to do with that. You had to do 1% of that, and probably less than 1% of that. That was your. She spread her legs. Yes, it was her decision to do that. It was her decision to have the baby. And nowadays, it's her decision either to go off of birth control or go on to birth control and everything. Her body, her choice. We gave her that, and then the males have very, very, very little to do with the baby. It's never your baby, and I'll agree with that. When we go to divorce court and everything, them aren't my children. I can't. It's impossible, and that was a hard lesson to learn. I think I am Bale first. I am Bale. I think he goes by a different name now, but he says, and I always echoed these sentiments, and he says, "I am not the dad. I am not a father. I am not that. I'm simply a sperm donator or a sequence donator that fell into the trap of traditionalism. And then we start lying about biology. It's not my kid. I can't have a kid. Now we see in this process, we see what I call sympathetic pregnancy play out. The man standing, we're having a kid. No, you're not having a kid. She's having a kid. It's her kid. And when you go before the divorce court, they will tell you them are her kids, 100%. And then you'll have to agree with them. You'll have to acquiesce and do one of those other things that we were talking about early in the something arise from nothing process. Uh, uh, this mind, I know this mind works. But yeah, it's not your kid. And that was a hard thing for me to get over. There was a lot of cruel truths to Mgtow that I had to get over when I came in here. There's one of the things was I can't have kids, and I never will. It's just biological fact. Don't blame it on me. And I'll agree 100% with the courts. And after that process, that thinking process, when I agree 100% with the courts, I'll go, okay, so this relieves me of all responsibility, because maybe one small fraction of this thing was actually my fault or my, and they'll go, no, you're 100% responsible, Joe. Oh man, the percentages suck. How did you go from like this process, and then they relieve the female of all responsibility and all accountability? That's what we talk about when we talk about responsibility and accountability. We're not talking about buying your own freaking food. We're talking about the biological responsibility that the female has. I can't have a baby. Yeah, guys in prison, they hit each other all the time. Not one of them have ever had a baby from it, because we're biologically not able to do that. And what your actual, and it's like Disneyland in science, human genetics and stuff like that. When you talk to the press and everything, because they're fucking out in loopy land when they start telling you, well, you're having a baby too. No, I'm not. I'm just a sequence donator. That's it. And as far as that small piece of DNA it's like this big, you can't even see it, that I donated, that died. That died off. Yeah, in the process. It did. It died off, and all the rest of them died off too, and the proteins ate them. And then 2 sister cells came from that. Yeah, that's how it works. And it's 100% hers. And to tell a man that he's having a baby is freaking ridiculous. It's lunacy. But the whole world believes that way. And then from that process, all up through the divorce process, they'll go, yeah, well, it's her babies. And they'll agree with you on that one. They'll go, yeah, it's absolutely 100% her babies. And then, but you have to pay for them somehow. You're accountable because you're a male. And that's the argument. I hear the guys argue about the silliest things around here. And that's the things that get us in trouble. And when you don't take the monk attitude, the actual scientific attitude, the actual, we're not going to argue about sex things. Yeah, you're not going to ask me about that down there, because I'm going to call you a name and then tell you to stop sexually harassing me. That's what being a monk's about. You're not going to ask me about those things. I did that to a guy, a big producer. I won't mention his name. And I said, why are you asking me about that? What, are you gay? I had called him a pedophile. And and I said, he's asking me about what I do with my private parts. And I got like really mad at him. And I see the guys do that all the time. They talk about their private parts and their private, and being a monk's about don't ask, don't tell, because that's what kills Mgtow. That's what kills the topics. That what kills the real information that all the rest of the world might want to know about gender dynamics and biology. You're going to take it back to the simple act of procreation. And I think that's so ridiculous. And that's why we need real Mgtows around. That's why we need the Stardust. That's why we need the Me's and the Barbarossas. And we need the guys that don't make it into the religious, because as soon as you carry that off into the religious, Mgtow will be through. If we do that down the religious line, Mgtow will be through. Uh, I know, I know. That's why I do this. It's a hypocrisy of go your own way, Mgtow. Go your own way. I know, I know, I know. This ad, it's not like everybody else's. Uh, my father, several times over, I did all the hard work in my life. My two wives had just laid there. Yeah, women do just lay there. And the court system demands men versus women, and we would be okay if the court system defended men versus women. Yeah, well, that's the pronoun thing. We smell corruption. It's the pronoun thing. Uh, Jordan Peterson was arguing against the pronoun thing, and I thought the pronoun thing. You know what else? What other pronoun doesn't get used in the description of the policies that make the laws? It's male. Male never gets inserted into that. Males don't have rights. And then when you're untangling the equality and non-equality of all this stuff through the legal descriptions and those pronouns that are used, you hear mother, you hear children, you hear the victim, you hear these things that are all, the victim is also often related to the mother or the, and then we wonder why the social construct works against us, and we have Me Too, and we have victim blaming, and we have not victim blaming, victim mentality, and we have well, that's the law because the word male never gets inserted in there. And to argue against the pronoun usage, they'll go off into the gay thing. They'll argue all day about that. Well, he or she or Z thing. What should we name these things? And exactly that is he, which is the male, the she, or the Z, whatever. But now they'll omit the male pronoun, which is the he, and they'll go, well, we'll just include she and Z, and then those people get expedited rights over the male. And we wonder why these things happen. And then we got idiots like Jordan Peterson that don't think about what he's arguing against. No, the inclusion of the male pronoun into the law, so we have rights. If you make laws, we already had perfectly good rights. Everybody has a perfectly good right to be protected by their by the laws in the land. Assault was assault. If anybody assaults anybody, this will be the punishment. But now we have assault against females, and that's those expedited rights that I talk about, because males don't have the right anymore because of the policies that have been written since then in the ever-growing Constitution, because we have a system that relies on the ERA, or the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendments, and the policies are being taken from that and expanding our Constitution. And the male pronoun has been the male pronoun has been diminished from that. And yes, that's a good argument, but men don't take that argument. They go, they also automatically want to fight against it and say, well, Z's or she's or all them things are used, but they never think about their rights. They never fight for their rights. And that was a question that I had the other day. I was watching John the Other, and John the Other was he was like going off about well, it was about taxes. It was about stealing one person's money and giving it to another. And I'm an anti-taxer too, but we can only see this argument as like right now we're giving taxes. Rich people pretty much don't have to pay no taxes anymore. So we're stealing money from the poor and giving it to the rich, which seems contrary to how a social system should work. But most of us will agree that in this sense we see that removing taxes is a good thing, and then blah 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 and everything. And but my question was, man, you guys go to work every single day and you pay 30% to the, I don't know what it's 16% to the federal taxes, and you pay an additional 8% to the state, and then you pay an additional 4% to your city, and then you pay an additional food tax, which they get on a back end tax. You pay gas taxes, you pay tariff taxes, all of your, all of these little things, these trinkets we buy now are tariffed up, and you're paying like 100% more this year than you were going to pay last year because of the tariffs, and the taxes are going up. And your house taxes, we got the feudal taxes, which I call feudal, the feudal landlord taxes. Your house, you know how they gave tax rebates to the rich this time? And you notice that last year that all the communities in America were reassessing how they raised the price on the houses. Well, when they raised the prices on the houses, they raised the prices on the taxes too. And the feudal landowners get double the amount of taxes, and then they give them to the $1.2 trillion or $5 trillion that they gave to the rich. Assholes. Didn't see that coming, did you? But we'll argue for the rich, we'll argue for the elite in the form of bills and government and that, but I never see these guys actually arguing for themselves. Like I just explained, why do I have to pay this feudal house tax? Why do I have to pay almost 42% of my pay? And on top of that, we get stuck with child support, which is a form of tax because you can't have a baby, male. You had nothing to do with that. She spread her legs. It was her accountability, her responsibility. It's her body, her choice. She made a baby. You didn't. You just you donated genetics. Now, if you are one of these guys that got that, on top of that 40% taxes you pay to the system, incidentally or accidentally, and you'll pay that 30%, have fun trying to live on 20%, 30% of your pay, and we'll never argue about those things, but we're willing to go to blows to make sure a Monsanto, a GE doesn't have to pay taxes. We're willing to go to blows as Republicans and Democrats and everything to make sure that doesn't happen. Asses, argue for yourself. And that was the thing. That's what Mgtow does. Argue for yourself on behalf of yourself. He's outside still. He is, but I think he's really good with the cold. He is really good with the cold. Dougie, he's got that fur thing. He could stay out there all day. It was raining before, and he gets unhappy with the rain, but I haven't heard him now. And that little dick, I was punishing him by keeping him out in the rain, and now he's comfortable out there because it probably stopped raining. And because he threw up, he was eating his Chewy toy while I was trying to get ready for this. And then he threw up his Chewy toy in the middle of the living room floor. And then he proceeded to eat it again. And I started getting sick. I was like, you little. And Doug will do things like that. All dogs will do like that. I seen some of the most awful acts. Dogs will eat anything. Now he's outside, and that's his punishment. But that's not really a punishment for him. I mean, being inside's almost a punishment for him. But then when he's inside, he bothers the living bejeebers out of me to go outside because he is a Samoyed. He's an American Eskimo. He's fluffy. He's got that hair. So that's Dougie. This morning, Dougie decided that he wanted to take over everything in my life by hacking up a Chewy toy on the floor. Asshole. Shout outs to Dougie. Yeah, Dougie's great. I complain about him because dogs do gross things and everything. And this morning was one of those things. And but I love him. And he's my life wouldn't be the same without him. And that's what happened this morning. Now we had ants too this morning. Now I was talking about the ants, and you know those little square things? I put those little square things out. And those things used to work. I don't know if they changed the poison in those things or not, if they made that poison illegal. Because those things used to work great. You get the little ant traps. They're about that big. They're little square blocks. You go like, and you hear the pop, and then you put it down, and it kills all the ants in that room. And those things used to work great, but I bought a pack of those lately, and I've been through like 6 of them, and they're not taking care of the ants. Now I got to wonder if what do I got to do to get rid of the ants now? Because Dougie, he gets his food, and he takes his food out of his bowl. This is the weirdest thing too. I put his food in his bowl, and then I put his water here, and he'll take the food from here, and he'll take it out of his bowl, and he'll put it on the floor. And then he'll eat it off the floor. And he does this little thing where he drop it on the floor, take it all out of the bowl, and he'd be like, don't put my food in a bowl, you bitch. And he looks at me like I'm crazy because I want him to eat out of a bowl. And then he pushes it back into the wall, and he pushes it all over, and then I got to clean it up. And then the ants come, and then they want to take their share of Dougie's food. And then that's weird. Owning a dog sometimes is a chore. So I got ants all in that back area. I had them all over my hand this morning. I put black tile down so the ants blend right in. And then I was down there I was wiping something up, and all of a sudden I looked up and I had ants all over my hands. And I was like, oh, you little. So I have to find a different poison now. My dog eats ants as well. Yeah, they will eat them ants. I think they like them. I think if he when he leaves his food, they cover all over his food there, and then you get a big ant chunk, and then he's like, ants. I think that's a protein favorite of dogs, but I don't like them because, well, they get in my house. Howdy Zoom. Howdy Whiskey, howdy Zoom, howdy Wolfgang Maximus. That's a new guy. Capitalist tardation is a plague. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I would like to see men in Mgtow start standing up for themselves, and that's where I was going with that thing. We complain about we see these things come up in bills for relieving the tax for the rich, and then I explain to you that they didn't where they get that money at. That money doesn't just what they did is we had a housing crash, and then all the prices went down, and my house went down and then what they did over the last 2-3 years to do that is they raised the price of the houses back up, and then they re-taxed you. And then your house taxes go up, this feudal house tax system, and then they gave that money to the rich. And that's where they get their money. Or they cut, what they actually do is they cut funding for city programs. And that's what Trump is doing when he says he's cutting all this funding. He's cutting funding for park programs. He's cutting funding for city programs. He's cutting funding for nonprofits. He's cutting funding for a lot of those things, which roll down to your local level. And then they're raising your house taxes so they can supplement their revenues and have those big 4 fucking buildings that we got there when we don't need a big 4 building down there. We have barely 200,000 people in this county. And in this county alone, I look at a 5-mile area around me, and I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 police stations within a 5-mile area. And we need 1 police station in this county. And we need 1 county building, and we need it to be about the size of this house. Instead of 5, 6 big, huge buildings. These are monumental buildings you paid for out of your taxes. So they took people's houses, and then they built these big buildings so they can have jobs and sit in them, and they can give you road taxes. And what they do is they build huge police stations and put in those Tuesday courts in them so they can everybody that comes through your county, they give a ticket to, and then they further supplement their revenues. I mean, that's some sheriff of Nottingham bullshit in our country, but we're okay with that. We'll argue about getting Monsanto GE a tax cut, and that way we'll have more jobs, they say, which doesn't roll down to jobs because they still haven't made $15 an hour. After getting to $1.5 trillion and having stock buybacks, they still haven't raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. which will be horrible for the people on Social Security, because their Social Security is, someone's going to have to supplement that too, because their Social Security and people on disability and that earn Social Security, you know, that tax, that other tax you pay. So when you retire, you get money, or if you get something, if you get your hand chopped off, you get money for that. Yeah, who's going to supplement that? Yeah, you're going to supplement that.